Welcome back to the Goal2Go podcast, man. Episode 45, sitting here. NBA Finals concluded. Definitely shorter than predicted, at least on this side, man. It is what it is. We'll get into it, man. But yeah, episode 45. Went through a whole football season, and now basketball season concluded, man. So we definitely been in it, man. 45 weeks ongoing now. But Nuggets take the NBA Finals, man. 5 games, 4-1. Obviously, Joker, MVP. We'll get into that, man. Kind of your thoughts on the finals, just any like first takes, anything like that.
It went pretty much how I expected it, but I mean, obviously, hometown heat. It would have been really cool to see them win. I said 6, so the Denver Nuggets got it done in the game shorter. I thought I was going to be right the way the Heat started off playing and, before the third quarter, but we'll talk about that. But yeah, man, it's been fun. It's going into kind of like the off season, like the first ever off season we've ever had. Like when we started, it was right before football season, and then we went right into basketball, so it should be interesting going into the dog days of summer.
Yeah, I literally saw a post today. It's kind of like limbo sports.
Definitely is.
90-something days till NFL kicks off. Think we're almost 120 days from MLB postseason, 100+ days from the NBA tip. Like, yeah, it's definitely the dog days of summer.
Yeah.
Gonna have to come up with some interesting ideas.
Yeah, hopefully, NBA free agency trades, some rumors going around today that might be interesting. Keep the summer kind of going.
Thinking about the same ones right now. This is definitely something we're going to get into later for at least the losing team for sure in these NBA finals, man. But, I mean, Denver Nuggets, hats off to them. Much respect to Jokic sitting here as a Heat fan. He dapped up all the Heat players after they won the ring. Total class act, man. Props to him. I mean, best hooper on the planet right now. Clear cut. And he went out, got a job done. Obviously, 2-man crew, Jamal Murray. Company definitely helped. You got a big game from Bruce Brown, Christian Brown. Aaron Gordon had some big games. Nuggets, they were just hot at the right time, and they could not be stopped, especially with the Heat not playing their best ball. I think the last time we recorded the series was either 1-1 or 2-1.
It was 2-1, I believe.
Yeah, maybe 2-1. Trying to think back to Game 4 was a third quarter meltdown. Nuggets best third quarter team there is. They just come out and absolutely dominate. I think it was like a 5-point game at half, and they just came out. Not stopping, and then I think that was the game Bruce Brown took over in the fourth. He had some big-time trouble. Any thoughts from Game 4? It seems like forever ago at this point, but...
I think the most pivotal game in this series was Game 3, when you had Jokic and Murray going off for the 30-point triple-doubles, like the first time that's ever happened in NBA history. But just, in terms of Nikola Jokic, like, stamping him as one of, like, probably the best player in the league right now, as one of the all-time greats, going out getting 30, 20, and 10 on the biggest stage in what seemed to be, like, the only time the Denver Nuggets have really faced adversity in the postseason and, just regular season so far this year. Coming out and having that kind of performance, I think that was, like, really a tone setter, because you got to think, the Heat just gave Denver their first loss at home since, like, March. Nuggets backs were kind of against the wall. Heat were, like, they had a home court advantage. They stole it. Going into Game 3, everyone was like, it's back in Miami. Like, the Heat are playing with house money. They got nothing to lose. Like, it was looking very positive for the Heat. And, the role players didn't have that good of a game. Michael Porter Jr., he didn't have the best series. He contributed other ways, but shooting-wise, he didn't really do good. Bruce Brown and KCP weren't really big factors in Game 3. It was Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, their two best players, getting it done. So to me, that was kind of where things kind of shifted, where, Denver Nuggets didn't get a full team effort, and yet they still found a way to win with that two-man game, and they were just too much for the Miami Heat. So I think, the Heat pretty much lost this series in Game 3 and in Miami, not being able to at least get one game at home.
Yeah. Game 3 was that two-man. Heat were doing a lot of trapping to Jamal Murray. They had some early success, I think, in Game 2. They kind of ran it late. Game 3, I mean, Jamal Murray just finding his passes. Jokic, even if the help came, I mean, Jokic finding the next guy, no problem. That's his game. That's easy money for him. He averaged 30, 14, 7, and almost 1.5 blocks in the playoffs. And I think we all know first player finished first in points, rebounds, and assists in the playoffs. The only player to ever do that. So you could call him a stat chaser. I mean, it is clearly not.
It's different, though. Like, if you wanted to call Westbrook when he was an MVP a stat chaser, like, okay, like, he literally was, like, telling Steven Adams not to get rebounds. Like, that's stat chasing. They didn't, that team was, like, they lose in the first or second round of the playoffs? Like, they didn't go anywhere. But Nikola Jokic, his stats, like, actually impact the game and actually contribute to winning. Russell Westbrook, in his peak, he was a great talent. It was really fun to watch, especially a smaller guard, super athletic, putting up those numbers, averaging a triple-double, winning MVP. He was deserving. But in terms of, like, winning basketball, you can clearly see how Nikola Jokic's play impacts the game and clearly impacts winning and grabbing that team a championship. Whereas Westbrook, it was kind of more of the individual game, more of chasing the stats. But, still give credit to Westbrook. It was a great season and deserving an MVP. But I don't think it was nowhere on the level of what Nikola Jokic is doing in terms of stat padding. Jokic isn't stat padding. Everything Jokic does, he's helping that team win.
Yeah, it's to win, man. Game 4, I already mentioned Bruce Brown taking over in the fourth, and I think Christian Brown was Game 3 when he took over in the fourth on those 7 lays. MPJ couldn't hit probably the ocean if he was shooting into it. Neither could Max Strus. I mean, you saw the struggle for the Heat between Strus, Vincent's foul trouble. Caleb Martin got it going in Game 3. They didn't go back to him, kind of just dead in the water. Offense was very sluggish the whole series. I mean, they could not get it going whatsoever. And if you're not scoring against the Nuggets, they're going to get buckets against you, no problem. Game 5, man, I mean, you could go down into it. Played a great first half. Bam has played very well.
Super aggressive in the first half.
Yeah. Hats off to Bam, just the way he played all playoffs and all series. I mean, there's times where he struggles, but he's definitely shown his aggressiveness and being willing to be a leader, especially with, Hero out, and it's just him and Jimmy. Problem I had, obviously, the guy got us there, as in Jimmy Butler, into the situation with his big games. Game 4, he touched the ball, I think, 2 straight possessions. They got points, 2 straight baskets, 2 consecutive baskets. And then he touches it the third possession. He gets ripped, loses it. And then he kind of just goes off into the corner, doesn't touch the ball. As a superstar, the number 1 guy, fourth quarter, you're down 2-1. 2-1 in a pivotal Game 4 matchup. You got to be demanding the ball. Whether, you're driving, you're shooting, he's got to demand the ball. And even more so in Game 5, I mean, you kind of saw him take over a little bit, get to the hole, kicked it out to Strus on one play for the corner 3, missed. He was right under the basket. I like to see him go up with that. And the next one, he kind of hop steps into the paint.
Yeah.
Hesitates.
Bro, he was low key that little hop step, little 2-foot jump. He was mighty that shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
bro.
It
was. And I'll let you finish and I'll give my thoughts after. But that was a little odd to see him kind of go to that over and over.
Yeah, and you just didn't see him being Jimmy Butler. I don't know what it was. He wasn't going for the contact. It's just lack of going up in the paint. I mean, he'd get deep into the paint with penetration. There's a shot he was throwing up. Either you draw the foul or, you take it, a tough shot. He's hit him before. I'd like to see him go up with it, try to kick it out. KCP, I think it was KCP, just ran with it, fast break dunk. Like, in that situation, fourth quarter, not just the game, the season's on the line. You put the team on your back, go out, be that guy. I mean, there was a one point in the Bucks series when he hit the little buzzer beater to send it to OT in Milwaukee, where he told Spo, he said, "You drawing up this plays for me." Mm-hmm. And you kind of didn't see that same Jimmy. And like
same shit in Game 6 against Boston when he came down, to take the lead. Even though he got the free throws, he got the foul, but it was Jimmy with the ball. They wanted the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and you didn't really see that at all late in the series, even in the beginning of the series, just demanding that ball, being that superstar. Even if you're not one of the greatest scorers ever, you're the best player on this team, you're the leader, you're the heartbeat of the team. I just want to see him get more aggressive. That's really my one and few complaints, other than Spo leaving it Max Strus for the whole series. But, I mean, it's Spo. I can't put the blame on him. One of the best coaches. He just couldn't get the shots to fall that he usually do. So,
yeah, for the Jimmy part, I just think, like, realistically, I think he was tired, bro. Like, you got to realize, like, that shit is hard, man. Especially if you look at the talent disparities between the two teams, like, coming in, everyone knew the Nuggets had a better team on paper, and they had the better team overall on the court as well. When you got, your number 3, like, MPJ, whereas he's not shooting at all. What does he do best? Shoot the 3 ball. His fucking shot wasn't falling at all this series. But what else was he doing? He was grabbing boards. He was using his length. He was playing defense. He was using his length to get into the paint. Even though he couldn't shoot, he was getting nice little looks, floaters.
Especially in
lays.
Game 5.
Exactly. If you look at the Heat's number 3, like, who you want to say? Like, Lowry? Gabe Vincent. Yeah. Like, those guys are...
Caleb Martin was probably the number 3 option.
Exactly. You could even say Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, all these guys. Like, if their shot isn't falling, they really don't offer anything else like superb. Whereas on the Nugget side, at least like if you're Michael Porter Jr. and you're fucking 6'10", all right, I can't shoot. Let me go take my big ass to the paint, grab a rebounder, throw up a floater over a guy I'm 4 inches taller than. So they just have more opportunities. And for Jimmy, like, bro, if you look back at this playoff run, it started in the fucking play-in. They lost the first game, so that's another game they had to play on top of that first play-in game. Then against the Bucks, like, bro, he had to score fucking 56 points being guarded by what everyone, like, thinks
DPOY,
is the best perimeter defender in the league, Drew Holiday. Like, bro, that shit is not easy. And then going up against the Knicks, rolls his ankle. That series still goes 6 games. Jalen Brunson was playing really good, gave the Heat trouble. And then the Celtics, 7 games. Jimmy Butler played amazing in those first 2 games, kind of won those games in Boston for him. But, like, after that, like, he didn't even drop completely off. He kind of, like, slowly, like, plateaued and kind of just went down a little bit. And that's why I think, like, he was tired and his legs were kind of up under him. Like, and you saw, especially in Game 5, like, he was getting good looks, especially those little hop jumpers he was shooting in the paint. Like, it's not like they were bad. They all just were short, bro. Like, he had that one, I think, in the third quarter, just hit the fucking right in the front of the rim, bro. Like, he just didn't get enough under it. So, to me, it looked like Jimmy was just tired, like, mentally and physically just exhausted for having to carry, a less talented team throughout this playoffs. Like, what he's done is amazing. Even if he did win a championship, like, that shit would have been crazy. As an 8th seed, all those miles on his body, playing all those minutes against, all those teams and not having, weapons around him like Jokic had, where Jamal Murray, he's putting up 30-point triple-doubles. Christian Brown, a rookie coming off the bench. Bruce Brown, giving great minutes. Caldwell Pope, he got championship experience, hitting big shots. Like, the Denver Nuggets had dudes they could rely on, whereas the Miami Heat, it was literally Jimmy Butler dragging them there. And then down the stretch, Bam gave you a few good minutes, but there was also times, like, in the second half, he would disappear. Like, especially Bam, like on that turnover, like, bro, you have Jamal Murray on you on the baseline, sealed off, and he's like throwing it to the corner. Where, I mean, there's supposed to be someone there, but I mean, like, bro, you got Jamal Murray on you, just take the 2. Yeah. Don't get too fancy or try to make the right pass or whatever. Like, sometimes you just got to be like, damn, like, let me go get a bucket on a smaller dude. You feel me? So I think it was kind of like the perfect storm for the Miami Heat. I mean, you just saw everything crashing down in Game 5, the lack of talent, the shooting kind of not being there, going back to what it was during the regular season. Jimmy Butler, the weight on his shoulders, having to carry that entire team, and then the Denver Nuggets they weren't even playing great basketball, but just, them being together as a team and having that chemistry, having multiple people they could rely on just was too much for the Heat to handle.
And I think that the Nuggets defense kind of overlooked as well. I mean, they played great defense.
I think especially down the stretch in that third and fourth quarter where they kind of felt like, oh, shit, we could actually win this. Then you start to see that effort turn up. Then you see KCP jumping passing lanes.
Mm-hmm.
You see Nikola Jokic getting strips and people, giving that extra effort in the passing lanes because they're like, bro, like we could fucking win a championship.
Yeah.
Like they could feel it right there. So obviously that's gonna make you play harder. So yeah, I do agree. The defense was kind of ramped up and overlooked in the playoffs and the finals especially.
Yeah, one other thing, Game 5, Jimmy just didn't have to chuck up that horrible three. I understand he hit one and then he got fouled.
He hit two.
Yeah, he hit two and then he got fouled, but you could have got a better look there. I mean, I'm just picking and choosing at this point in this game. I mean, that's just one game. I kind of thought they had it in the bag. It is what it is, 8 seed. You said it. I mean, no one expected them to be here. I'm a diehard Heat fan.
I don't know.
What did I say? I was like, pack us up after we lost the Hawks playing. Like, you could go back. I mean, even the Bulls game, if DeRozan's daughter's there, the Heat just probably packed up for the summer. Like, who knows, man? Because they barely came out with that game. They were down, came back. 1 seed Bucks, I said pack us up. Giannis got a little banged up, helped a little, but they won without Giannis. 56-point game. I thought they were down in the count there. Who brought us back? It was Jimmy Butler once again. So, I mean, it's hats off to the season. Denver Nuggets, huge championship for that city. I mean, it's been long awaited for the Nuggets.
Yeah, first one ever.
Yeah, so happy for the Nuggets fans finally getting that parade going, which Jokic doesn't want to go to at all. I think this is like the perfect picture, kind of like meme championship. I mean, my favorite photo was the one of Jokic in the corner of the locker room with the Michelob Ultra in his hand, and he's like, this could be any frat guy at a party. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Like, he fits right in.
7-footer though.
Yeah, that's just good at basketball, bro. Like,
yeah,
probably like the girls walk up, oh, do you ball? Jokic probably be like, nah, I don't. But just knowing that guy, I saw a clip. I don't know who was talking about him, but they were like, Jokic, like, he might not show that he like loves basketball. Like, he just clocks in for his 9 to 5, and then he goes and does his own thing. Like,
I think that was IT.
Yeah, it was IT. It was IT. I just thought, like, you could see, I mean, it's not like he doesn't put his dedication into this craft as a guy that was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Like, you got to be willing to put in the work. But he's totally right. I mean, this guy, he's just out here enjoying life. You didn't really see a reaction from him when they won the championship. It's kind of like business as usual for Jokic. But
I mean, he says it himself. He just wants to race his horses and be with his family, bro. That's
yeah, I mean, like, this was just his way out, bro. He was just good at basketball. Like,
that bag.
I mean, you can't blame the guy.
It was either that or the mob, bro. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I think you picked the right route, bro, because his brothers are no joke, man. They picked up Jokic and Mike Malone.
Yeah, I saw that.
There was one other thing on my mind, but
you saw the clip when he threw Jamal Murray in the pool.
They like jumped in together. It was like he tackled Murray into the pool. It's gonna be interesting. The parade's tomorrow. We're sitting here recording Wednesday night, so I mean they're obviously gonna be very lit out there in Denver. Bro, have you ever seen the Denver Nugget jeans video? There's just no way you haven't.
Yes, I saw that. The clip ESPN had posted or whatever of Jokic with the Nugget jeans on, like the animation.
Nah. Oh, bro. It was It was a viral meme with the one dude.
No, I've seen, the dude with the yellow polo.
But he was at he was out in Denver and they found him again.
Oh,
they found him in the streets of Denver and he was posted. Same fit, yellow polo, little hat on, and the Denver Nugget jeans,
That's
bro.
funny.
Someone said they need to take that dude to the parade in the White House, bro.
Yeah, bro. ESPN posted like a TikTok of like a little animation and like Jokic was wearing like that fit. It was pretty funny.
I didn't see that, bro. I guess I gotta take a look at it, but they were like,
you'll see it in a few days on IG Reels.
You're a hater. Yeah, I will. You might as well just post that to TikTok so I could see it 8 days later. But nah, it was funny. They should get that man courtside next time, but I thought it was hilarious. Great season for the Heat. Gonna be interesting. As you know, you kind of got any last thoughts on the finals before, talk about like the Heat off season, obviously, and kind of what's going around in the NBA right now.
I thought it wasn't like the most exciting finals or anything crazy like that, just because we didn't have a fucking 3-1 comeback or we didn't have any crazy shit like that. But I think it was a really good finals in terms of like legacy. I think it really helped Nikola Jokic stamp kind of where he is right now in terms of being an all-time great. Add that finals MVP, add that ring. Already got the 2 back-to-back MVPs, and the future's looking bright in Denver.
Yeah, no doubt. Stanton himself is one of the greatest bigs, whether you think about it or not. Not your typical play style. Changed the game for sure. You saw 2 great point centers. I think, Bam kind of played into, his role in establishing himself as a Heat cornerstone. Like, there's always questions. Kind of saw that mid-range fall, kind of saw it not. It's definitely something. I mean, he's still in his 20s, early 20s, mid-20s, whatever it is now. He's got time. I mean, just develop that mid-range a little bit more. Undersized, playing against Jokic. Jokic still had a lot of heart. Gabe Vincent, free agent. Going to be interesting to see. He was a big piece of the whole run up until that finals.
He hit a few big shots in Game 5, but yeah, he didn't really show up.
I really think that foul trouble in Game 4.
I think it was Game 4.
Game 4. I mean, he picked up those 3 fouls like span of like 5 minutes, and that really messed up the whole vibe. Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, are they part of a package deal? Tyler Hero, once again, another playoff run, not available. If he is, I mean, he's coming back from injury. So it's going to be interesting to see. We haven't really seen anything from him since the bubble. Yeah, he's a 6-man. He has some decisions. Let's get into it. Rumors swirling. Heat want to add a superstar in the offseason. They kind of wanted to add Kyrie before the trade deadline. Couldn't get that done.
Harden was a name last year.
Harden was a name.
Westbrook was a name before.
Westbrook.
I mean, the Heat are always, just because of the Miami Heat and the destination.
Miami. Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra.
No state tags. The names are just going to be like South Beach. The Heat are just going to be, in the rumors. But this year it feels more real.
Yeah, as an 8 seed, they went to the finals. As a middle of the pack, they were a 1 seed, lost in the conference finals. 8 seed, you make it all the way to the finals once again, lose it. This time in 5, the first time they lost to the Lakers in 6. And kind of still got that same core, couple new guys that weren't a part of the team, some guys that have departed. 2 names that have been swirling around big time, Dame Lillard, Bradley Beal. Dame obviously kind of wanted out of Portland, put his house up for sale. He mentioned the Nets and the Heat. If you're the Heat, I mean, obviously not knowing what you have to give up for each player and everything, but who would you rather have? I mean, I know value has a lot to do with it, but
yeah, well, I mean, off the rip, both of their contracts are not the best. So, I mean, they kind of cancel each other out. I believe Bradley Beal is a few years younger than Damian Lillard, so he has that going for him. I think he's still only like 29 years old or some shit like that.
Yo, I thought he was like 31, bro.
Nah.
He's 29.
Yeah, Bradley Beal is not that old. Well, he's up there, but in terms of like basketball age, he's only 29.
30. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Whereas Dame, I believe, is like 32, 31. What? Either way, it doesn't really matter.
32.
Yeah. I think they would actually be both pretty good fits for the Miami Heat and what they want to do, because kind of all they were missing was that offensive threat and that playmaking, whereas I think you get more of that from Damian Lillard. He's the bigger name. Probably have to give up more to get Damian Lillard, whereas Bradley Beal, you could probably not give up as much, but you're still going to have to give up, something nice. I mean, it's the Miami Heat, Pat Riley. Like, if he's going to go for it, I think he's going to try to get Dame. He wants the big fish. He wants the player that could kind of help him get over top. And I do think Damian Lillard offers more for that team offensively. I think his playmaking, his shot creating ability, his spacing would be a lot better than what Bradley Beal will offer. Like, if you imagine, put Damian Lillard in that offense, for the Miami Heat, just
Bam
the spacing.
Go to work down low. He's
not even
worried.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of how much easier it would be for the guys like Duncan Robinson, like Max Strus, like Caleb Martin. Just get those guys. They'd be shooting so much cleaner looks. Gabe Vincent, if he comes back, it would just make their lives so much easier, because Dame has the ability to pull up from fucking 30 feet. The defense has to respect that. So the spacing will be really crazy, and I just think that playmaking, you got to, down the stretch, the Heat really didn't have anyone to go to that could have the ball in their hands, someone you trust, where on the Nuggets, you got Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, who you trust and believe in to play, make, and create offense, where if you put Damian Lillard on that Miami Heat team, you won't have to worry about, Jimmy Butler burning out in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, because you have someone else that can carry that burden on his back and be able to play make. But if you can't get Lillard, I do think Bradley Beal, his scoring ability, he can score from all three levels. I think that'll be a huge, huge boost. Defensively, I mean, neither one of those guys give you anything great defensively, but you saw the
little bigger. That's probably.
Yeah, you see what the Heat do. They'll just throw him in the zone or whatever. Heat culture, Pat Riley will have him at least give an effort on defense, and Spoelstra. So I think they're kind of similar players, but I do think Damian Lillard will elevate it just a little bit more because of his playmaking ability that I don't think Bradley Beal really has on that same level.
Yeah, Bradley Beal he can play make, but Damian Lillard more of a true point guard in a sense, in his ability to pass and everything. Beal, two guard, he's more downhill scorer.
Yeah, Beal gives you a little bit more size also.
Yeah.
Dame is a 6 foot. Yeah,
Beal
6
probably
6'1". Beal's
6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
So one thing I think you kind of, didn't mention was the fact, although it's not extensive, Dame does have playoff experience. Dame does have that clutch shot gene.
Well, he does, but I mean,
it's not like finals experience, but I mean, for Bradley Beal, someone who, I mean,
they have playoff experience too. Beal,
that was maybe what, 10 years ago.
Him and Wall had a little run.
Yeah,
Dame, bro, I mean, no one really took the Trailblazers seriously.
I mean, he
does have playoff experience. He's made the Western Conference Finals, but I mean, every single time they haven't made any noise. So I get what you're saying. He has games played in the postseason.
Yeah,
but on the team like the Miami Heat, I feel like it matters, but I don't think it's that big of a deal when you have guys on that team like Kyle Lowry, like Kevin Love, Jimmy Butler. I mean, a lot of those dudes on that team were there in that initial bubble run playoffs and coming off this playoff. So I think playoff experience won't be that big of an issue, especially coming into the Heat culture where, those guys don't care about what you've done. They don't care about what's going on. They just want to win. And I think if you're someone like Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal, you're not coming into that team all right, I've played in the playoffs, I've done this, I've done that. No, it's all right, I'm here to try to win. I'm just going to fit in where I get in type shit. You feel me?
I might be kind of wrong, man. I got to see the exact number, but Bradley Beal had some games under his belt in the playoffs. I mean, I know.
Well, because you got to think he's been in the league for 9, 10 years.
10 years. I mean, he's drafted after year one, so probably 19 coming into the league. He's
No, him and
29
John,
now.
they've had some years where they were in the playoffs. They just never did anything crazy.
I think they won like the first round where John Wall went up and he was like,
I think the furthest they made it was the second round.
Yeah, same.
Or did they make it to the? I don't think they made it to the conference finals one year. No.
Let me go back. Let me take a look at that.
I think it was 2017 when Isaiah Thomas was going crazy. That was like probably the last like real year they had.
They made it to
and Beal had a decent
second round of that series. They went to 7 games, Eastern Conference semis. Yeah, against Boston.
Mm-hmm. Beal played pretty well, I think. And John Wall had decent games. That's when he hit that game winner.
That was against. I think that was in the first round against Atlanta. That they did that.
No, that's when he stood up on the table and did that. But I think it was another game against the Celtics. He hit a clutch three.
Maybe. I mean, they won both games at home.
Yeah.
But it kind of. Oh, maybe game 6. They only won by 1, I think. That's Beal's plus minus.
Regardless. Beal definitely got some playoff experience.
Yeah.
But Damian Lillard's definitely made it further, for sure. But I mean, and making it further,
probably had more to do.
But making it further, like you knew you was playing the fucking Warriors, bro. Like you were getting
just pack
steamrolled, like Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Like, come on, bro.
Who's their 3? Like, bro, they had the worst small forwards of all time.
They had 0 wings. Like, bro, when Jeremy Grant's like the best wing Damian Lillard's ever played with, like Al-Farouq Amino, like, come on,
dude. Oh yeah, he's definitely had his fair share of
I can't even think who else, bro, was in that.
I mean, Beal played with a good big Machine Gortat back in the day.
And
Nene. I mean, it just goes on. I mean, part of it had to do with the Wall and Beal taking up all the money, but two big bags.
Hall of Fame bag chaser.
But I did see something. Brian Windhorst did report. Don't be surprised, kind of the package of Beal is dealt of what it actually is, because he doesn't think it's going to be as high as people expect it to be, just because that contract is so unfriendly for Bradley Beal. And
also, Beal has a no trade clause. So, like, Bradley Beal has to want to go there. Yeah. So he kind of has all the leverage. Like, even if the Wizards can get a better offer from a different team, like, if Bradley Beal doesn't want to go to fucking, I don't know, Houston, like, he's not going to go.
Beal times Harden, like, just too ball dominant. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where Harden goes also. I mean, it's only been reported Philly and Houston.
I don't know if Harden comes back. He might. It's a possibility.
I could see him in the Heat uni.
I don't know if you would want Harden. I don't know how he'd fit on the Heat.
Yeah. But
because I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast and he had Doc Rivers on there, and Doc Rivers was kind of talking about like coaching James Harden and what like they were going through, and he was talking about like, how James was such a good player and stuff, but he was like kind of just like he was like it was difficult trying to coach Harden because like the play styles. He was like the 2 different play styles we wanted to play with were like complete opposite. And he talked about how Harden wanted to be like that main dominant ball handler, and Doc wanted Harden to play like more off the ball and facilitate more. And it was kind of funny when he was describing Harden's game. The main thing he kept saying was like, you know where the ball is going to go. He's like, when Harden has the ball, he's like, you know where it's going to go. Like, Harden's going to dominate the ball, so it makes it easier for defenses to adjust. Whereas playing off ball, he was like the adjustment Curry did when playing against the Clippers. He was like, Curry was off the ball. You didn't know where he was at. It was so hard to keep up with him. He's like, whereas when Harden has the ball, he's like, you know where the ball's going to go. So I don't think Harden would fit
in the fourth quarter. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of just tossing it around. But I mean, Beal, Lillard, I'll take either of them. Obviously there's only 2 players off limits in trades at this point. It's Bam and Jimmy. Tyler Hero, he's definitely available to get traded. Draft picks, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus.
Jokic.
Yeah, I have seen Jokic part of it. Guy that's you kind of don't want to let go yet. He's your first round draft pick, 19 years old.
Yeah, he's
still young. The Heat known for developing players. This is when you could develop. You ship them off. Might not be the same for his career. Mm-hmm. Obviously, at that point, you really don't care because you dumped him off. But, I mean, it's something that you could see. Tyler Hero, I don't think he'll ever be, I don't want to say an elite. I mean, he's a great scorer. He's an all-star caliber player.
That's pretty much all he does is score.
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever reach that superstar-esque level. I almost want to say his ceiling's either at Bradley Beal or even below Bradley Beal, kind of.
I think Bradley Beal's a good ceiling for Tyler Hero.
Yeah, like it's around that general area. I don't think, he could ever reach that next level, that superstar, tier 1, tier 2 player. He's kind of, just a star in the league. I mean, we play Madden a lot. Dev Trait, franchise is like a star. He's, not a superstar, but he's a star in the league. So, I mean, obviously he could break out, do some great things, become a superstar, but still really young. Hasn't gotten to that point. Really haven't seen the progressions through it. Just kind of what I thought he was. Mm. And not being able to stay healthy. I know diving for a ball, breaking your hand, like, there's nothing you can really do there. But 2 playoff runs, the Heat needs you. And one of them, you didn't play at all. So it's tough. I mean, Oladipo is definitely going to be gone off the roster. Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love, maybe. We'll see with those guys. But it's going to be an interesting offseason. A lot of moves to be made, not just by the Heat, by other teams. Will definitely.
Yeah, did you see the reports of Zion being available?
Oh, I did see Zion. That was the latest one. Who was it? Someone else? Zion and someone else?
Well, the team. Well, I saw them saying like maybe Brandon Ingram.
Yeah,
they were gonna ship, but I think most of the reports were saying Zion, and the Hornets were a team that kept popping up for Zion. And that number 2 pick.
And Zion on the same team, man. I mean, take it back to the high school days. Those were the 2 kind of big names. Like they were those dudes. I think they even played in AAU
2018.
game.
That's a fucking super team, bro.
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. You put like Zion on Chino Hills like back in the day with like.
Yeah, this is 2019, bro. Be going insane.
I mean, if LaMelo stays healthy, he's one of the best. Not like he's up there with top point guards in the league.
He's a good point guard, yeah.
Zion, one of the
scoring point guard, yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's got incredible length as well, and he can pass too. So it's a question of effort, health. Zion, we all know it's just health at that point. Shit.
Yeah, there are some effort questions as well, just because he hasn't been able to shed that weight and be at a good playing weight, but I mean, health is also a big thing.
I think that's what his girl's like, kind of grizzly, with all the trouble he's
also,
gotten
off the court situations going on as well, distractions. But I mean, new scenery might be best for Zion, but I don't know if the Pelicans are up for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see with that. Obviously, all the memes, 2019 draft class, you had Zion, RJ Barrett,
PJ
Washington, like you got 2 with women problems, you got 1 flashing guns on IG Live, and then you got RJ Barrett, who's just average. Like
they kill RJ. That might be the worst one.
Yeah, they're like gunshots, back shots,
guns and buns.
Yeah, it's like, and then obviously PJ with his BM drama, and RJ Barrett, catching the worst of the bullet. I mean, just playing in New York, it's so tough for RJ. Yeah, I mean, as a young guy coming into this league, I mean, he's Canadian first off, and I mean, he had a big stage, from high school.
1 year at Duke.
And the 1 year at Duke when they had the super team. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't amplify to New York City and
Running with
what
your
those
favorite
fans.
player, Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish, yeah, I mean, favorite player, bro. See, you just take everything. I like Cam Reddish as a player. I think he's, kind of got an unfair chance in the league. You look at those
There's
other
someone Dame
guys.
can run with. He's on Portland, right?
Cam Reddish.
Does he fix their wing problem in Portland?
I mean, he's been there for like half the season.
It was a trade deadline, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
they got
something
him at
like
the trade
that.
deadline. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't play bad, but I mean, come on, you're asking Cam Reddish, that's a role player, a three and D type guy. Go beat CJ McCollum and a three, there's a lot of things in Portland that kind of need attention. Not just maybe the wing like 6 years ago they needed 5 years ago. It's a little past due just for a wing guy.
Well, I mean, if Portland makes the right moves, they could have a pretty interesting future. They got some young talent, young guys, ready to kind of come on the scene, take a bigger step in their career. So, especially if they do right with their draft picks this year, haven't been too heavy into the NBA draft or like the prospects, whatever, but it's kind of a top heavy draft. So, if you got one of those early picks like the Portland Trailblazers doing, they intend to, move up and kind of get a few more extra draft picks. It could be some bright days ahead for Portland, excluding Damian Lillard, which is kind of crazy.
You mentioned top heavy kind of draft, but you take a deeper dive into it. After the Nuggets won, the questions were, GMs now, are they going to invest in these later picks, kind of like the Nuggets did? I mean, he wasn't a top prospect by any means. You go into the draft, I mean, you look at R.J. Barrett, top pick. You look at the top picks from the drafts, kind of like Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Balls.
Who has turned his career around and been playing great basketball in Orlando.
No, he's been playing good basketball. He's been playing good basketball.
This past season, he's leveled it up.
No, yeah, he's a good player. Like, definitely a starter in the league. Yeah, obviously after all those shoulder problems kind of like cleared up, no longer with those. So it's definitely looking good for him. But, I mean, every NBA draft's kind of like top heavy, and you kind of see sometimes the buzz. There's always going to be late talent. I mean, they talk about the Nuggets and the Heat. Jokic late round draft pick, the Heat running with 5 undrafted players or whatever it was. The talent later in the drafts. So, like, the OKC, who has, they got the young talent. They got the young core, and they still got a boatload of picks. I mean, they're still in great position.
Got another one during the NBA Finals.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they're doing just fine. Does OKC kind of try to go to build that route? Obviously, Spurs with the generational talent coming up is the one. You got him, and then Scoot, who also, I don't know if you saw the clips of him working out. He's probably the number 2 draft pick.
Yeah, Scoot, he's
absolutely
built
insane. Yeah,
nigga swole as hell,
bro. Quick.
He's only like 6'2" though. He's not that tall.
Yeah, I mean he's a kind of older style point guard in size wise, but 6'2". I mean you're undersized, but that's not the worst. You're just a point guard at that point. You're just not a 6'6" guy.
He's super athletic, so he could jump with anybody. Yeah.
You're not like the Jamal Murray type or, the LaMelos who's, taller in size, but he could definitely get it done. He'll probably go number 2. So after
him
that,
or Brandon Miller, I don't know.
You're right.
It's hard to say until the draft because, I mean, bro, the number 2 picks being floated around. Charlotte wants to trade it, but, they're saying if Charlotte's sticking, they're going to pick Brandon Miller, but the Nuggets want to trade to bring in Scoot Henderson. You just won't know until, the names are picked. So, I mean, after Wemby, the 1 and 2, 2 and 3 is kind of up in the air. Then you got, what's his name, Buddy from UCF. You got the Thompson twins.
Yeah.
It's a few decent prospects out there. That guard from Baylor, he's like one of like the best just scorers. He's projected to go pretty high. I don't know. It'll be an interesting draft. A lot of good talent.
Yeah.
The NBA draft is never as like hyped as the NFL draft, just because one, you don't get to see the players as much as you do in the NFL draft because those guys are playing college football for 3 years. And you got guys like Marvin Harrison who've been superstars since their freshman year. So it's easy to follow them, whereas in the NBA, you got dudes like Scoot Henderson who don't even go to the fucking college. They go into G League or whatever, and they're not really that televised. So I think they'll be fine in the league.
Yeah. You got, other G League, you go overseas, play for a year.
Yeah, and the foreign players too. Like, I mean, people
there's no
people in the NFL
football.
aren't getting drafted from fucking Ukraine, bro.
If they do, I mean, they come over.
They come and play college first. Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely is different. It's like when the Knicks drafted Kristaps, Darko.
Luka.
Talk about bust. Yeah, Luka. They were mad.
No
one
knew where Luka was coming from.
Yeah, and now he's one of the best. Like, I mean, even like guys like Goran Dragic, that were brought into the league. These guys, no one knows who they are unless you're a fan of that team or you're following that draft class heavy. Which, when it does,
or you're following
closer,
the prospects. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do a little mock or something.
Like 2 weeks, bro. Like, I think it's the 22nd. Next week.
Is it?
Pretty sure.
Why Scoot Henderson is still in play at 2. See, it's 22nd, yeah.
Shit basically here.
Yeah. So maybe we do a first 15 picks or so. Yeah, I don't know. But we'll see, man. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Regardless, gonna be interesting. See those moves. Team's gonna be shaken up. Rebuilds. Final pushes kind of is for the Heat. Jimmy Butler era. He's getting up there in age. You saw him tired in the playoffs, rightfully so. But we'll see, especially going after 2, not young players, but 2 players that have been established in the league. We'll see what that. Is the Philly era going in a different direction?
Embiid wants out.
I mean, Embiid.
Is he done trusting the process?
Just like Jamal Murray said when he brought up the meme post game, after the celebration of Jokic and Embiid both running, and Embiid's out in front, grabs the MVP trophy, stops, and then Jokic just keeps running. He grabs the finals trophy, the Bill O'Brien. So, I mean, Jamal Murray said in a press conference.
Tortoise versus the hare?
Huh?
Like the old story? Like
the tortoise versus the hare.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, I'm pretty sure they taught us all public schools that story at that point in the state of Florida. Because not even public, like, bro.
I don't think Florida education is something we should be talking about right now.
It really isn't.
Very controversial.
All right, bro. I'm just saying, like, that's something that when I was a kid, okay.
Might be teaching them something else nowadays, man.
Yeah, all right. We got no comments. This is not a political podcast, man. We're just saying, out here.
I don't make the laws.
Talking sports, man. And so what? An old memory pops up that relates to what Jokic in the Embiid meme and Jamal Murray drunk on the press conference wanted to talk about. Maybe not drunk, but he was tipsy, bro. Because there's no way you just bring up that meme and not be a little lit.
But
so
speaking of Embiid, it's funny, like you brought it up. Doc Rivers also was talking about like Joel Embiid, and Bill Simmons was like, what does it take for Joel Embiid, like, to get to that next step? Like Jokic, and Doc Rivers is like, he has it in him. He was like, the main thing is like health. He's just got to be healthy. He's like, the second thing is he's just got to be able to like, elevate his teammates and like make the players around him better. And he was like, yeah, coming in, like that culture. And then Bill Simmons was like, oh, that, like, trust the process and everything. He was like, how bad? Like, was it like, could you feel like how bad it was like when you got there? And he was like, yeah, it was a real thing. He was like, it was times like where I had to like convince Joel, like, he's like, yeah, like you can play. Cause he missed his first 2 years in the NBA. He didn't play at all. So when Doc Rivers, he's like, yeah, when I got there, he's like, dudes are basically like used to just like sitting out and not playing. He was like, I kind of had to like convince Joel, like, or tell him like, bro, like, yes, you can play. Like, you're going to play. Like, you don't need a rest. So like that kind of mentality coming from the Sixers is interesting. Like Joel Embiid just like wants to just sit out games and kind of low manage. Whereas, you got a coach like Doc Rivers that has to. It's interesting that like you gotta light a fire under someone's butt to go play. Like, damn, like you don't want to get out there and play. Like your coach got to tell you like it's okay, and it makes sense, Especially same shit with Ben Simmons. Like he missed his whole rookie year as well. He kind of won Rookie of the Year like the second year, and that whole joke. So I can understand.
I think he's up and running this year. No,
he might be. So it's interesting, hearing that perspective from Doc Rivers, kind of. How like that early on, that trust the process kind of basically just fucked up. Probably the reason why Ben Simmons isn't playing right now, and is the reason why Embiid can't make it far this moment, because that like their like their attitude and the way they look at the game kind of got messed up as oh you don't want to play tonight, oh you could just take this one off, like that like tanking process, like oh we're building for the future, you don't need to play all these games, like we're just gonna grab a bunch of draft picks. And you just don't play. Now when they trying to win, it's like no, like you gotta play. You feel me? Like
bro.
You can't just miss games now. Like now you gotta play. So I don't think they kind of set them up for success in the long run. Like at the time it was cute, yeah. Like oh, we got all these draft picks, we got all this talent, we got all these guys. They're gonna be healthy. They're missing games, low managed. But now when it's time to play and actually complete the process. It's like they still stuck in the beginning because they so used to not playing.
A downloading error on Embiid's part. There's one thing you did say with Doc Rivers, trusting his teammates and elevating his teammates. We know Embiid, individually one of the best players there is in the league. But to your point, I mean, I even saw a clip of, they were like, check out the two different types of leaders. Now, Jimmy, I think, huge leader, obviously great friends with Embiid, and I think that's the only time maybe Embiid trusted his teammates is when Jimmy was there. But it was both in the postseason, both of them talking about losses. And Embiid, he was like, guys just got to hit their shots, kind of like, not saying me. Meanwhile, they showed a clip of Jimmy, and he's like, I told them guys, if, I come out and play better, we win that game. He was like, we all play a role. And Embiid was like, oh, we. And Jimmy was like, I got to be better for these guys.
And when you brought that up, that's a good point. When speaking of James Harden, that is something that Doc Rivers did mention, because Bill Simmons asked him, like, what's the perfect player? And he was like someone that'll hold Joel Embiid accountable. And he said like James Harden like wasn't afraid like to speak up. And, that's something we've seen, we've seen Jimmy Butler do it. That one clip where he's like yelling at Joel Embiid to shoot the ball, like someone that's not afraid to hold Joel accountable. And he said, James Harden would do that. And you kind of see it. You saw it, like he would hold Joel Embiid accountable, like kind of like, yo, like you got to come along and like you got to play too. So I do want, like, you give Harden credit for that, holding teammates accountable and, kind of wanting to win and keeping Joel Embiid in check. Not in check, but making sure that he is also held to the same standards, which goes back to that trust the process where we're fucking babying everyone. We're going to cradle you. And now it's like you get guys like James Harden and Jimmy Butler who've been in the league, who've played on all these games. It's like, no, like, you're not going to do this. Like, you got to do your part too. So I think that is also, like, super important in terms of finding someone that'll work with Joel Embiid. Is you got to be able to. You need another alpha that'll speak their mind.
I mean, you look at Harden. While Embiid obviously one of the greats in the league, Harden, he's played with Russ, he's played with KD, even Kyrie for a little, and then he's also played with
Chris Paul.
He's also played with, scrubs in NBA terms. I mean, obviously great players. Not trying to knock the Houston Rockets when he was over there, but PJ Tucker's had a great career.
Tucker, Trevor Ariza, Pat Bev, those tone setters, like dudes that know like that.
I'm saying like just skill wise, like he trusted those guys. Like PJ Tucker, why was he one of the greatest corner 3-point shooters? It's because James would drive
and
kick, bro. The help come off PJ, he'd kick it out to PJ. I mean, yeah, he was for sure, kind of ball hogging, but he'd average, up near an assist. It's because it was a driving kick. He'd kick it out. PJ Tucker, not one of the greatest shooters on the planet. I mean, yeah, sure, he's good from the corner, but he was getting the best looks. Like, I mean, you're standing there wide open. Yeah. He just, Pat Bev, I mean, I remember him, he could shoot. in Houston, probably because he was wide open, like threes.
Yeah, getting great looks.
And I mean, it's just credit to James Harden. I mean, he knew he was a scorer. That was his type of game. Still able to kick it out to the teammates, just trusting them. Embiid, that slow, methodical. He's not really elevating his teammates. He's not vocal. He's just, what some would call a crybaby and a kind of diva.
For James Harden, I think, playing with those guys, I think it's more of that mentality that they kind of help instill in James Harden. Those PJ Tuckers, those Pat Bells, Trevor Ariza, those guys that aren't afraid, to go at it and like speak their mind and kind of add a toughness. And, Russell Westbrook had it. KD at times when he takes over, he has it. So, I mean, it rubs off on James Harden. Jimmy Butler, I mean, we know what he's been through and his situations in the NBA, playing for Thibodeau, the whole Minnesota situation. So I think in Philly, when you see James Harden and Jimmy Butler have the most success with Joel Embiid, it's like, yeah, these dudes, like, they're kind of like no
grinders,
bullshit type of guys. Like, they know like what it takes. They're not gonna go for this low management, this trust the process bullshit. They're like, bro, we're here to win. Like, Joel Embiid has the talent. They have the talent. Like, we can win games. We can make it far in this league, and they're trying to win. So when you have someone like, Ben Simmons, who comes from that same cloth as Joel Embiid in terms of, low management, trust the process, kind of being coddled, like, it's not going to work because they both on the same page, and they don't got like that dog in them. They don't got that hunger, that fight. You feel me? They've been basically coddled. So I think someone else from the outside is definitely going to have to come in for Embiid, or a new change of scenery for Joel Embiid, and trying to get over that hump is going to definitely be key.
I agree 100%. You got, any kind of last takes, any last comments, any topics we missed?
No, that's on the NFL side. AFC East, little turmoil. What's going on with Diggs up there in Buffalo?
Oh, yeah, Stephon Diggs, man. Not reporting to minicamp, right?
Is the Madden curse already happening?
Well, first off, I mean, we could talk with Josh Allen on the cover. Dude almost lost a playoff game to Skylar Thompson. I'm not going to say anything. Or a quote-unquote washed Miami Dolphins team. I think they had, one or two defensive touch. I think it was just one, but they had multiple turnovers on him. So, a little bit confusing. Bills got a great defense. They shut down Skylar Thompson in a playoff game in their playoff win last season. I mean, dude, if they have Teddy Bridgewater, I think they win that game. So, I don't think that's kind of deserving to get on the cover. I saw, something like maybe they should have put Joe Burrow on it. I'm like,
Jefferson.
Put Jay Jets on it. I mean, it's not like it was his fault they were losing. I mean, he was the whole reason they were winning. So, Josh Allen, obviously talented quarterback, he didn't play up last year. He didn't. He had, kind of a down season in his terms as being one of the league's most talented players.
Should have made Brian Dable a cover athlete.
Yep, the Brian Dable curse, whatever you want to call it. He's gone. So
Daniel Jones has his best years. Clearly the coach, man.
Yeah. Where's Dable at now? Oh, I mean, never mind. That's how long I haven't been thinking about football. But, I mean, you could have went so many different rounds. But in terms of Diggs, obviously, a few years in Buffalo. You're playing in Buffalo, somewhere that's not indoors. He's a receiver. He wants to catch, footballs all season long, not just when it's sunny, sun shining. I mean, you can still catch them in the snow a little bit harder.
And Josh Allen has the talent to complete passes in that weather.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I work with a Bills fan. He always says Josh Allen's the perfect, Buffalo quarterback, which he is. I mean, strong arm. Mm-hmm. Can run as well. I mean, he does it all. But Stephon Diggs, I mean, he's seeing it, getting up there in age in terms of receivers. Not many play past 30, usually when they kind of hit that wall. So for him, he's like, it's championship time for me. Like, I don't know how much I got left in the tank. We've ran it with this same squad. It hasn't worked, man. Like,
no. And the report is saying he want to go to Dallas and play with his brother. You're not finna win a trip there either, bro. I'm just gonna put it.
I mean, at that point, I think he's just hanging him up and say, "I want to play with my bro." Like, this is bigger than a championship. This is, this is me and my brother going to work, and maybe I could elevate them, give them a slight chance.
Well, I mean, it is the NFC, so the only team they really have to beat out would be the Eagles. So
I mean, you throw CD, you got Stephon Diggs on the other side. That's a little mismatch out there on the corner for some teams. So I know you're not going to say not the Eagles, but you also see the reports of Russell Wilson should have been an Eagle, and they wouldn't have Jalen Hurts, your boy Jalen Carter. Who else? The Sweat Bros, I think. Sweat was gone, part of the deal.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
Listen, bro.
We'll talk about
that's
it.
Wilson's fault. He's the one that declined going to Philly, so nothing
it is what it is, man. But as you said, Denver bounce back season.
When did I say that?
What do you mean? You said Sean Payton, he's going to elevate Russ.
I said that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, having a bounce back season for the Broncos was what? Like
no, but you said they're going to have a good
wins?
season. Yeah, you said playoff contenders. Shit. I mean, not Super Bowl champs, but you said they're going to have a bounce back year. Russ was going to have a way better season than he did last year.
Yeah, not much else he could go but up, so.
I mean, dude, I think you can scroll on a TikTok and find the clip, but of you talking about it. Regardless, man, you got
like I said,
any
they
thoughts
set
on
the
Diggs?
bar so low, like it wouldn't be hard for them to be better.
Any thoughts on Diggs?
Nah, it's classic receiver drama, man.
Are they the most drama-filled position group?
Come on, bro. No, I actually think he's offensive guard. Like, come on, bro. Obviously, it's a receiver.
All right, bro. So, when's your next stand-up show? Shit, next week?
The next time you ask me a dumbass question.
Yeah, I mean, come on, bro. It's just conversation. Regardless, you can see the Dickhead Show on the Goal2Go podcast. But nah, man. Episode 45. No more comments, takes, anything.
Nah, I'm
Goal2Go pod. TikTok, man. Like, comment, subscribe. YouTube, Goal2Go. Also uploading shorts now onto it, so everything on TikTok goes to YouTube as well. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all that good stuff, man. Show a friend. Show your parents. Show your family. Just hit that share button, man. Till next time, man. Goal2Go, episode 45. Appreciate everyone tuning in, man. Peace.